Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midday Market Monitor. Almost didn't say it. How's everybody doing today? We are live. Okay. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the craziness that's happening in crypto markets. Ethereum jumping all the way up to 3,400 to now come back down to 3,340, which, if we were to look a few days ago, would still be still a blessing to have. But I think people are already starting to get jitters if we're going to head all the way back down to the $3,000 prices once again. What are the thoughts in chat? Obviously, we saw a massive surge up yesterday, but are we going to stay there? Bitcoin, similarly, end up skyrocketing up 96,800. Whenever we look over the last month, even 3 months or so, we have not seen this since November 14th. Okay. It's looking good, but are we going to hold it? That's the question. Howdy, Bob. Howdy, Payne. Spencer. Investing for freedom. Intuit's at its lowest forward PE ever. We're seeing this on a lot of software names. Adobe as well. PayPal is another one. Some of these names that just have, huge amounts of profitability continuing to be oversold. Or maybe it's not oversold. Maybe it's, perfectly and adequately sold. Okay, I'm hopeful on TSM earnings tomorrow morning. We'll turn things around. If not, time will still do its thing, yeah. Or else we have to continue to wait. Continue to wait for names like NVIDIA. Down 2% on NVIDIA. Why does it look like that? What's going on? There we go. Down 2% on NVIDIA. This is not one of the names that I've actually been buying the dip on. It's, by far the largest position that I have in my portfolio, and I'm hoping that we end up seeing some upside hopefully soon. Maybe that's on a TSM report. Maybe that's waiting for NVIDIA to report, right? Maybe that's the weeks following after an NVIDIA report, or maybe the quarter after that. Overall, I like everything that I'm seeing. I like the fact that Chinese sales are now opening up. U.S. regulators have finally given the last okay to sell to Chinese businesses, not the H20, but the H200. Okay. Could this be a new potential revenue line for them that could bring on tens of billions of dollars per year, in addition to the already expected accelerated growth rate that we are seeing to American customers, Middle Eastern customers, European customers, the likes. Who does know these days? I'm going to take a chance on those names. Meta ended up buying the dip on Meta today. Didn't get it as low as 1660, but, still acquiring more. Can it fall? Can it fall below 600? Can it continue to fall? Absolutely. But in today's stream, I wanted to actually point out just how unbelievably cheap this company really is right now. If we take a look here, I just have Fiscal AI up, and this is one of the charts that I end up looking at, which is sort of like my MAG7 chart, where I look at, revenue change, all of this different stuff. But what I can end up seeing here, and we can actually put this forward, but Meta has been, for the most part, one of the cheapest names in the MAG7. And by the way, I'm not even including Tesla here. I have Tesla actually not on the board. If I put Tesla on the board, the chart looks very different. That said, let's just remove that so then we can kind of get a glimpse in. NVIDIA is at the very top. This is trailing price to earnings, meaning, how many years it would take if they earn the exact same amount of net income to make back what they have in market cap. Okay. But Google here used to be by far the cheapest, especially during the times whenever people were questioning whether or not ChatGPT was just eating away at their entire business. Brad Gerstner said, there's not a chance in heck that he would ever buy Google. This company sucks, yada, yada, yada. He's now a shareholder of Google. And the PE is actually actually surpassed a name just like Microsoft, which is quite crazy. So they went from being by far the cheapest to now being second place. Let me do a couple things. So one, I'm going to zoom this in a bit, and then we're also just going to zoom into this quarter. Okay. Now what we're seeing is a huge divergence between the Googles, the Microsofts, the Apples even being in this similar range of around 34 to 33 times trailing PE, where whenever you see Meta, it's actually going in the complete other direction. Now at 27 times trailing PE, but it's not about trailing. That's about the history. Okay. Now we're talking about into the future and what the future might end up looking like. And whenever we take a look at this, we'll zoom this all the way into the most recent quarter. Give it a second to load here. Oh, it already was loaded. No, I was the wrong one. Meta's forward PE is at 21 times. The next highest is at 26 times NVIDIA. And then you have all the other names that we were just talking about above it. You wonder why my two favorites right now, I'm loving Meta, buying more. It's not nearly as big as my Meta position. It's actually not even a top 5 position for me, Meta. But if it stays down to these prices, if we continue to sell off, if they continue to show great earnings, it could quickly be. I don't have a moral dilemma buying a social media business. I don't really care what you offer if you continue to grow at 26% revenue, right? And then that's flowing down to better margins because you can improve not only your margins because you have artificial intelligence, but your conversion rates. You can help with businesses start your own, enterprise cloud business. You kind of have a lot of optionality whenever you have, 4 billion customers and 80,000 employees and a huge focus on technology. Got to bet on business or got to bet on software, What's that old Mark Andreessen saying? Software will eat the world. But now investors said, yeah, no thanks. Let's sell off the biggest software names because they said that they're going to continue to believe in technology. That's what, Zuckerberg is telling you. Like, he's saying software is going to eat the world. And people are like, yeah, all right. Some of these software names are absolutely taking a butt kicking, though. AppLovin down 9.5%. Dave's also down 9.5%. Rivian down 9. Navan down 9.8%. Only a $15.70 stock. Amcor, Intuit, Shopify, Peloton, Airbnb, all down roughly 7%. Airbnb just announced a new CTO today. Zeta down 5.7%. There's a lot of butt kickings in the market. And what we're end up seeing is the traditional, highly profitable businesses, the Oracles, the Broadcoms, the Bank of Americas, the Airbnbs, the Shopifys, the Intuits, all of these companies that actually make a boatload of money are getting sold off. And what's being replaced by them in the markets are the Clover Healths and the 8Cos and the Clean Sparks and the Energy Fuels and like names that you would more lean on as being a little bit more speculative. Not the Cheniers and stuff like this. Those companies are great. But I am not a trend follower in that way. I'm a profit follower. Profit spelt Profit. All right. I'm looking for the dollar bills. And the companies that are down today make a lot of dollar bills. So I'm going to continue to buy those dips. All right. What's the SPY saying in general today? It's pretty bifurcated market. Yes, down 1%. And triple Q is probably down even more. Yep, down 1.6%. That's technically like nearing a bloodbath type day. It doesn't feel like it for the most part, but hey, not every day do you get Dell and JP Morgan and, Iran and Intuit and all these names like, yeah, AppLovin down 9.3. Crazy. Tanner is the prophet. Yeah. That's funny. Okay. My boomer dividend portfolio is up 1% green. You got to love it. I don't feel anything anymore after April. Yeah, I mean, from time to time, you just have to focus on company fundamentals. It makes you sleep much better. It definitely does. And then you actually, like focus more on what's important, which is the company, and then you focus on the price whenever you're buying. Like I kind of just realized, I was like, wait, Meta's just been selling. I thought this company was returning back to like 670. And then I just kept looking and I was like, this company's just getting cheaper and cheaper. Like, what's going on? 615? I thought we were over this, guys. I thought we did this. And then we were bouncing back. But Meta Compute had to come out. I'm honestly glad he said it, though, because or else this would have been a story every single quarter. Now, any analyst that comes to their earnings and goes, are you planning on continuing to spend more on chips to work on artificial intelligence? Mark Zuckerberg just blacklists them off the earnings call. You should check out Meta Compute. Click. Okay. You'll have the Meta assassins go and take them out. Oh, wait, no, I'm thinking of OpenAI. No, Meta doesn't do that stuff. Just hangs up on them. Deep dive on BitGo IPO when? I'm not really looking into BitGo. I do like a lot of crypto names, but I'm looking at Coinbase. I'm looking at eToro. I'm looking at Robinhood. These sort of names. But SoFi offers the IPO, right? Zuckerberg is in berserker mode, might take a year to recover. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not here to try to time whenever the market's going to realize that they're going to continue to grow. Or maybe not realize, but I could be wrong. I'm not saying otherwise, but yeah. Meta Apex Arena. I actually didn't see this. That's interesting. They're taking a page out of the bank's books and the crypto books. Just announced that the UFC Apex is now being that's a passion project for them. Meta Apex will host boxing, UFC BJJ, the best program ever, by the way. UFC BJJ is on YouTube. You can watch it for free. Okay? You got to love it. Or if you don't, that's fine too. You don't have to be into combat sports. But UFC BJJ, there's not a lot of people watching. But the people who do understand it's high quality. Did you do a deep dive into eToro? We've been doing sort of, I've done 2 parts, the last 2 episodes of the members only live stream. So that's not the YouTube membership, like the join below button. That's not what that is. It's more just on the Future Investing Pro side. We do a daily hour-long live stream every day. That's what daily means, Tanner. And the last 2 days has been going through eToro. So I don't know if I would call it a deep dive as much as I've just been doing constant work on this name over the last 2 days. I've looked at their numbers. We're going through interviews. We're looking at their products and their fees and who's using it and trying to figure out what geographies, what are their competition, what's the multiple at. They're so unbelievably cheap. This is my thing that I'm not like. eToro is so interesting too. Like another thing that we've just been looking at, their management is. Why is this doing this, man? I swear, short Mumu. Does eToro have a thing like this? But eToro is trading at an unbelievable unbelievably low PE. I think they're like 1/40th the cost of Robinhood. $2.6 billion business, 1.2 billion of that is cash. It's nuts. Okay. I like it so far. John, I like it a lot so far. I'm trying to pick holes in it. eToro is a horrible app, period. So I've been seeing some comments about that. But I'm not like, I'm not seeing it. How's that the case? What part? The app looks fine. Someone said that the fees are egregious. I didn't see any of that. I went to their whole fee structure. It looked perfectly fine. They charge the exact same amount on crypto as what SoFi does, like 1%. Is there better than that in the market? Yes, but it's also, a fine fee to pay. You could pay a lot more on Coinbase too if you wanted. So yeah. eToro has weaknesses due to crypto, cyclical, and serves Europe. Robinhood gets the next dollar on the side of the pond. Yeah, but okay, so all those brokerages and Coinbase and all of those face those same cyclical practices. I'd actually say eToro is a little bit more defensible because they do have the neobanking side and the money transfers and wealth management and stuff like this that actually do take away from that cyclicality. They do make a lot of money on crypto, but so does Robinhood. Okay. The Robinhood, Robinhood's done extremely well in the United States, but it's not even like they're doing that well in the UK. Like, there's not a whole lot of people jumping for joy that Robinhood is available in Europe and in the UK. No one cares. People are still using Trading 212. They're using eToro. You can track the amount of money that's being tokenized in Europe for Robinhood right now. I think it's like $14 million total across 30 countries. That's nothing. Like, that's actually nothing. C Money says, next subject. Okay, you pick the subject. Tell me what you would want me to talk about. You get to decide. What's more exciting than a potential new purchase that's at like a 4 times price to earnings? See, this is what I bothers me sometimes. Like, we're talking about a new potential opportunity here. Is that not exciting? Whether or not we no, let's talk about the companies that we already have significant portions of our money in already that we're just sitting and waiting on. Need a SoFi in the UK. I mean, I don't disagree. We'll be there. UK only 69 million population. Yeah, but eToro is not a UK brokerage. They're in 75 countries. The biggest areas that they're pushing into is the United States and in Asia. Those are their biggest focuses. I don't have anything to say about Zeta. I don't care about Zeta. Yeah. Rubrik is very enticing right now. I agree. Rubrik's really interesting, but I have to do more work on Rubrik. The good thing about for me, eToro fits in very, very well with my circle of competence. I know this industry very well. I know their competitors. I know the KPIs to look for. All of that's very exciting. Some guys wanted me to speak on BM&R. This video just passed me by. We talked about this in the last live stream, but let's go ahead and hear who is potentially at the new the upcoming BM&R shareholder meet. This video actually might be the different one. My apologies, but I'll tell you who's in their shareholder meeting if it doesn't say here.
October 31, so for the last 10 weeks, only 2 crypto treasuries have bought any crypto of size, BitMine and MicroStrategy. So really, these are the 2 only relevant stocks. We're not in an MSCI index, but I believe we will be eligible because in 2026, BitMine is is rolling out a series of products and a strategy that really shows the company is not just a passive holder of crypto.
Maven, baby. That's Maven. But what was I going to say? That's from the same interview where they talked about having Vitalik Buterin and Sam Altman at their shareholder meeting. Sam Altman's probably there for WorldCoin. So think of Orbs, their $26 million investment in Orbs. So yeah. Are you bullish Clarity Act ruling? Yes. And some comments from Brian Armstrong had scared me a little bit about how they're going to, not support the deal and back out if they end up pushing again. Like, it's crazy what's happening with the, ruling from some of these big banks to say, oh, we're allowed offering, benefits to our customers on deposits. But because we don't really play in the stablecoin space right now, stablecoins are different than deposits. So you can't offer a split on the rewards for stablecoins. That's mind-blowing to me. It's the exact same product. They're on different rails, but it's safer. It just drives me nuts, man. Ooh, I got a nice report I have to read through. Okay. Why buy BMNR when you can buy ETH yourself? I buy both. I like the benefit of BMNR essentially having, one, a better way to purchase ETH cheaper than myself, a better way to get a better staking reward than myself. So they get to keep both of those. I like the fact that they're being used as a tool for Wall Street. So then that gives them a multiple on their multiple. Sorry, that gives them a benefit to their multiple. So, even though they might have $1 billion or $10 billion of ETH on their balance sheet, they might be trading at $12 billion. So giving them sort of a 20% multiple on their holdings. That hasn't always been the case, but Ethereum's kind of just been dead over the last little bit. If that ends up turning around, which we're seeing right now, how fast that can turn around. And I'm not saying that it will. I'm not this might not be the ultimate pump, but, people were saying that Tom Lee is wrong on his pricing for ETH for January. But if we keep having, more of these days where we end up spiking up a lot, we could see, that price quickly turn around. Where is, I don't know why it's not locking my thing here. But the price accelerated on, wait, there we go. Look at the price change on Ethereum in a, 5-minute period. Went from 3,200 to 3,300, just exploding up. And that continued to happen over the last little bit. If I maybe go to a 10-minute timeline here. In a day's time, we had went from 3,100 up to 3,350. So those things can change very quickly. Yeah, this as well. It's treated as an equity. You can write options on it. These sort of things. According to Amit's Instagram, him and Steve are having a slice of pizza. Nice. Okay, I sold what is KO? Is that Coca-Cola? Yeah, it is. 1 Coca-Cola for 2 eToro. Okay. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a fantastic day. I'm going to go see a movie after this at 4 p.m. with my dad. I haven't done that since I was a kid. I'm excited. It's just going to be an all-around great day of, working hard, trying to reposition our portfolios to get rich, hang out with family, maybe go for a run. Who knows? Oh, that's nice. Hug your dad. My dad likes to fish. My dad likes to fish too. He doesn't get to very often, but it's not that he doesn't get to. He doesn't go very often, but my understanding is he does like to fish. IRL stream with dad for real, never, not once. I'm gonna keep his life private, and then my life public. My dad's a felon. Yeah, happens. Do you forgive him? That's a weird question. Or do you despise what he did? I wonder. I haven't known a lot of felons, but I guess that would be on my mind, especially one if someone was very close to me. If that would change my feeling about them, even if, the crime that they did didn't affect me. Ooh, we're getting deep now. Okay. What stock did you buy, Tanner? I bought 2 stocks today, Meta and SoFi. SoFi is getting beat down on what news? On news of what Mike Johnson said. Let's go ahead and take a look at Speaker Mike Johnson. We're going to skip through the question, but essentially they said, what are your comments on Trump's 10% rate caps on credit cards? But you can't really hear them, so let's just skip through this.
Briefly, yes. I talked with him about it briefly yesterday, and he is the president is the ideas guy, and what he's doggedly determined to do and laser focused upon doing is the same thing that we are, and that is reducing the cost of living, bringing down prices for the American people, and he's looking at every idea under the sun to do that. It's one of a large menu of ideas that have been proposed as something we ought to think about and investigate. Since I had the conversation with him, I've talked to a number of colleagues about that and what that would mean, and are there unintended consequences of that? And it's a complicated area. So I don't know. Like everything else, you would need legislation to do something like that, and we'd have a lot of work to build consensus around it. But you got to be very careful if you go forward in that. In our zeal to bring down costs, you don't want to have negative secondary effects of that. So, for example, one of the things that the president probably had not thought through, and others at first glance, it sounds great. We should bring down, interest rates to 10%. It would help everybody, all borrowers. There's a lot of Americans who have a lot of credit card debt. But then, what some of the experts have said is, well, but the problem is if you do that, then the credit card companies, the negative secondary effect is that they would just stop lending money, and maybe they cap what people are able to borrow at a very low amount. And then that would have a negative effect on a lot of people who work on revolving credit. So it's something that we got to be very deliberate about. The president understands that. He wants us to do the right thing by Americans. When he says America first, it comes from a sincere place in his heart and all of us. And what I love about this president is he's willing to think outside the box and propose ideas for us to work through to see if it will actually achieve the desired objective. And that's what we're in the process of doing every day around here. So again, I wouldn't get too spun up about ideas that are out of the box, that are proposed or suggested. The thing about this president is he's totally transparent, and he says often what he's thinking out loud. This is unusual because most presidents like Biden, we couldn't get anything out of him for 4 years. We didn't know what he was thinking, if he was thinking at all. So it's jarring for some Americans to hear a president who just says, go, 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 go 24 hours a day to help the American people. And we're working through those ideas. And that's one of them we'll work.
Bro, Trump did not pose it as an idea. He said, January 20th, get ready because your interest rates are about to change. And then Mike Johnson said, everyone chill. He's an ideas guy. He's just pitching some ideas. No, he for real was like, it's time. He pitched an idea one time, and he was going to nuke a tsunami or something like that. That was an idea. Okay. This is like it was a threat. It was a threat to big banks that are getting filthy rich off credit cards, which they are, but also there's a lot of credit cards outstanding. But yeah. So essentially, we are, I think he said, if I'm not mistaken, Trump said that he was going to nuke a hurricane or something like this, like to slow it down or disperse it or change. I forget what it was. Anyway, it was like a small off the cuff thing. Anyway, yeah. That was just a joke. I'm mainly talking about the 10% credit card cap, which is not going to go through. SoFi is going to be fine. Crypto's rocketing up. SoFi was not a part of the crypto part coming down, but it could be a part of the crypto coming up, which would be a new revenue stream. They're getting paid by what do you call it? Chime this quarter. We ended up seeing that there is a loan sale that ended up going through. I think it was $700 million. What's not to like? Okay. The hurricane backed down and became a tropical storm. Yeah, it's part of the deal. Okay. He just wants 25%. Yeah, I think the average credit card interest rate right now is something like 21.8% right now. Not on new cards issued, but on the actual amount, like on what has debt on it. I think the Fred posts that. So I think so, right? Fred credit card debt. Consumer loan, credit card, and other revolving plans is sitting at, well, $1.06 trillion. But where's the interest rate? Average interest rate. Commercial bank interest rates on all credit card plans is at 20.97%. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. Nvidia's down on TSM earnings shakeout. On what shakeout? Didn't I just read that? Here, wait, where is it? Taiwan Semi last week spent $197 million at a public auction to buy 900 acres of land adjacent to its existing Arizona property, which will reportedly be used for new planned facilities. Bearish. There's less demand. They're selling less chips, so we need to buy more land. How do people put this together in their head? U.S. eases regulations on NVIDIA's H200 chip exports to China. Bearish. Meta Compute says they're going to buy eventually, or get to hundreds of gigawatts of data centers eventually. 11 Labs AI voice agents now just got the largest telco in Europe, which was it T-Mobile? T-Mobile. T-Mobile just partnered with an AI company to help with customer service. I've said this before, but if I was an angel investor, I would have been the first person on 11 Labs. Since the day I saw 11 Labs, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I knew that they were going to be something big. I would have made a fortune on that name. But it was never offered to me. I never had the possibility of investing in them. But all the sort of voice companies, 11 Labs has always been at the top of the charts. Believing that AI bubble has peaked is going to lose it's going to lose people a lot of money, a lot of opportunity cost. The great thing about missing a trend, if it is one, I'm not saying that it is, but if it is one and they miss it, then you just miss out on gains. We're not taking away people's houses. But yeah. I'm not a crypto fan, but what do you think about coin for AWS, a blockchain? So I had a conversation with Devin, then right after my conversation with Devin, I was like, you went like super 30,000 foot view of like why Coinbase is going to, or like why crypto is going to be a thing. And so then therefore Coinbase benefits. But I was like, next time we chat, which hopefully is like in the next 3 months or so, I was like, let's get into the nitty gritty. I get the crypto case. You don't need to sell me on that. I only have an hour with him. So I'm like, let's get into Coinbase. So I think it's just mainly a scale type thing. The idea that right now we're looking at a $3 trillion market cap for crypto. I think I could double check that. I think what Devin Ryan was saying earlier on the podcast that I uploaded last night is that he's like, okay, well, what happens whenever it's a $40 trillion market cap? We have all assets are starting to be listed. You have the BlackRocks and the JP Morgans, like every single institution's going full on into blockchain. What if Coinbase is the next necessary brain share in order to help a lot of these businesses and facilitate a lot of those transactions? And it's not just transactional based in terms of, hey, do we want to buy or sell a product? It's, hey, how do you help me facilitate this recurring payment of payments across finances that are happening in potential trillions of dollars per day, every day for the next decade? And so he thinks that Coinbase is going to essentially get a re-rating as people think of it as a cyclical business to more of a plumbing business for all of crypto. And I get that. I just don't think they're going to be the only player. And I need to do a little bit more research into like, well, how long does BlackRock need Coinbase? Are there other competitors playing in this space? Why SoFi red? I think sometimes just markets be red sometimes. I think people are just having a general sort of scare in markets in general that say like, okay, well, is fiat currency a concern? I think even the talks of like, potentially buying Greenland is scaring people on just like national debts of America. And then what does that mean for, inflation concerns and printing concerns? Then what does that mean for existing debts? The biggest, way to pay off debts is through inflation. Like COVID did a number on existing debts. If you have to pay back a $400,000 mortgage and then COVID happens and now there's a increase in the money supply of 20, 30, 40%, and everyone's getting raises, everything like this, but you still only have to pay back $400,000 on your mortgage. Well, that gets a lot easier to pay. Should I hold SMCI, buy it at 30 thinking it was low? Linda, I'm not really the person to speak on SMCI. I don't know. I think that there should be a premium to companies that do their accounting properly. But no, I mean, there could be a comeback on SMCI. I'm not sure, though. $28. Yeah, that's crazy. Literally listened to a bunch of people before saying that. I don't know. I don't want to say anything. Who knows? They've sort of been in that range a lot, eh? Like looking across on this company. This is my version of technical analysis. I mean, they like to touch this price a lot and then go up. That's your TA corner of the day. Why is TTD just sitting stagnant? I think that people are worried about new customer concern or new competition concerns. Amazon's a real player. Google's a real player. You know, their new product Kokai was supposed to roll out to many more customers much faster than I think management wanted that to happen. I think they're worried about losing potential future products or future contracts because maybe Amazon's around. So TTD is worrisome. Nice chart work. Thank you. Only the real ones know. Okay. Last chance. Buying PayPal at these prices. Earnings is coming. That sounded like a stock goat thing. Buy now or cry later. And I like Kyle. I'm not doing that to, but there is a theme. Gotta love, still do love Kyle. I'm not, I'm split on PayPal, man. It looks cheap. It looks like the cheapest the company has ever been. But I don't know. If they potentially stop growing, let's say they put up a first quarter where they actually go into negative revenue and they don't grow, which is a possibility, then what? Then what? Yikes. Lemonade just passed 3 million customers. Took us 4 years to get to our first million, 3 years to get to our second million, 2 years to get to our third million. Gotta love it. Could be it's the Skype of the fintech space. Yep. That could be a concern. PayPal always has buybacks. Well, they only have buybacks if they're making money. But yeah. PayPal needs to acquire new assets. Well, that's kind of what got them into this concern. So Alex Chris has been not wanting to do that. They wanted to focus on what's working. You said there should be a premium for good companies. Yeah, there should be a premium for good companies, and you should pay that premium. That's what I believe. You're not an accountant, have no idea what you're talking about on SMCI. EY didn't drop them because of a client because of accounting issues. They dropped them because of the Hindenburg research report. Okay. You got your 5 seconds of fame. There's now 82% chance the United States strikes Iran this month. 52% chance it happens by tomorrow night. Dude. Also, Polymarket coming in clutch. I love the fact that we just use those as, you know, like real sources of information now. Thoughts on Netflix? I'm a paying subscriber. I hope that they get the Warner Brothers deal. I would, benefit as a consumer. Interested to get your take on BM&R stock tomorrow. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll be watching for sure. Like I'm not I want them to get the vote, because if they don't, then why buy BM&R versus any other name? Like, I believe that we have to trust management. I don't think 50 billion, it's too much. Like, you're just scaring investors. Like those sort of can concern me, but then at the end of the day, it's like nothing's really, wrong on the name right now. So as long as Ethereum continues to improve in that price, BM&R, the price will go up. However, as I say that, the price has drastically changed throughout the day. It was up like 8% earlier. Now we're up only 2.4%. Sending 100 text messages was annoying for sure. That was another bad call. If you didn't have BM&R, would you buy it before the vote? No, I'm just holding this company. Like, I'm surprised by the move in Ethereum. It's frustrating. Tom Lee and the company is more frustrating. So it's like tacking on two things that I don't want to have to deal with. So I'm just not adding right now. Okay. Yeah. Tom Lee saying that they need Well, it's because are people really going to pay for our stock if it's $500, if it's $1,000, if it's $1,500? Bro, people are buying it at 30. Got like 8 pieces of mail. Steve's frustration on that, he's like, I went and added up all the costs that they had to deal with printer cartridges and ink, and this costed them $10,000, something like this. I was like, all right, well, let's chill for a sec. But still, I do understand. It is, that is too much. They did ask for too much. Honestly, $5 billion, I think no one would complain. The fact that they're like, you know what's better than 5? 50. Let's 10x that number. So they're what, 100xing? Yeah, they're 100xing their outstanding shares. That's a lot. Amidst Grab, my understanding of Grab is that nothing has gone wrong, actually. Like the pricing might not be the right timing, but like we all have those plays. Like this is, that happens. But as long as the company continues to put up good numbers and you believe in the product and you believe in the geography, I've got nothing against Grab. Way to mention Clove. It would be great if you did some analysis on Clove. I don't do any talking to healthcare, pharmaceuticals, health and biosciences, anything like that. It's not my area of expertise at all. I can't help, or I wouldn't know a single thing to tell you about Clove. When do we know the result of the vote? I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure we'll know on the shareholder meet, right? Which will be televised. I'll probably go live for that as well and just listen, which for the most part will be boring, but yeah. Overall, I mean, if the vote doesn't go through, we're like nearing 500 million shares as it is. So then we need to like rush out another vote for them to get like hopefully a much smaller. That's hilarious. Amit just said, well, actually, it was a bit ago, that Elizabeth Warren said that Donald Trump called her today to collaborate on capping credit card rates. Poor Chime. I'm not worried about Chime. Chime's going to do fine. Give it not 6 months, maybe what would it be? Essentially 4.5 months. I want to see 2 quarter prints. So Q4 and Q1, and then I'm out of the trade. That's what I'm looking forward to. Thoughts on credit card companies? Honestly, fine. I think that was probably the dip buy of a while, is buying a name like Capital One or Amex. You know, these sort of names. The 10% is not going through, but the correction on those stocks over the last couple of days was, you know, quite big. I actually have a video here from Elizabeth Warren on the Trump phone call and what this might have meant. However, this is an 11-minute video. I'm not watching all this.
Trump reached out to Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren for a conversation that the White House called productive. Joining us right now with the details of how that conversation came about and maybe some areas where they can work together is Senator Elizabeth Warren. She is the lead Democrat on the Banking Committee. And Senator, thank you for being with us. It almost sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit that the two of you actually spoke and had something that the White House called productive. First of all, how did this conversation come about? It was after a speech that you had given that was actually pretty fiery.
That's right. I had just given a speech about the future of the Democratic Party. And the basic point that I made in the speech is that Donald Trump had promised for an entire year in the run-up to the 2024 election that on day one, he would lower costs for American families. He gets elected. And the very first interview, he says on day one that he will lower costs for American families and that's why he got elected. And yet here we are a year in, and the cost of groceries is up, the cost of utilities is up, the cost of housing is up, the cost of healthcare is up, up, up. And all of those costs are up because of policies that Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress have pushed on our economy. So the argument I was making in the speech is it's time for Democrats to jump in to hold Donald Trump and the Republicans accountable for these higher costs for American families, and then make a choice as we go forward. We can take our economic agenda and sand it down, narrow it down to make it more acceptable to billionaire donors, or we can actually go full-throated on behalf of the American people and make bold proposals and demonstrate that we will get in there and fight for them. But this was all about lowering costs for American families because that's what Democrats are going to do, and that's what the election of 2026 is going to be about.
So shortly afterwards, you get a call from the president.
Yeah.
Were you surprised? What happened?
Yes, I was surprised. In fact, I did not recognize the phone number. So the question then is, he raises the point about a cap on credit card interest rates, something that had come up in the speech and that I've been working on for years, and that is trying to get interest rates down. And he said he wanted to work on that. And I said, great, let's get something done, because my point was, and I had made this point in the speech, he had not lifted a finger to try to get something through on credit card interest rate caps. And then while I had him, I said, you know, there's something else you could do just right away. We need to bring down the cost of housing. And the way we do that is to increase housing supply all across this country. We're 3 million units of housing short. And we need urban housing, rural housing, housing for first-time home buyers, housing for renters, housing for seniors, housing for people with disabilities. So I had worked with Chairman Tim Scott, the Republican chair of the Banking Committee. We put together a bill that had 40 proposals in it, every one of them aimed toward increasing supply, making it easier to get approvals, more on manufactured housing. Passed the Senate unanimously, and yet goes over to the House, and the House Republicans won't move it at all. Gets tangled up over there. And I said, Mr.
All right, this is getting less about the credit card stuff and just more about general politics. By the way, did you see the quality of her camera? I mean, phenomenal. All right. But yeah, I just cared about the credit card thing also. Okay, let's move on. Did you know that SoFi, even though we found out that they were selling $700 million worth of loans, came out today with some additional exciting news saying we are going to match the $1,000 federal contribution to Invest America accounts for SoFi's employees' children. So you're getting $1,000 plus whatever the additional amount is from, you know, other contributors, whether that's the Dell family or anything like this. And then you're getting another $1,000 from Anthony J. Noto and the SoFi team. That's great. Which might coincide with this little piece. SoFi has been named a built-in 2026 best place to work for the 5th year in a row. I don't know if Robinhood's going to say the exact same thing. They kind of work their employees down to the bone, but I mean, in that case, it also helps with maybe the employees aren't as happy at Robinhood, but they, you know, the shareholders are much happier. So it depends what you want, you know. This 10% cap is not going away. It has to go away. Like, it literally has to. This stuff drives me insane. I don't understand. If you want to, honestly, what should come with credit cards, like with cigarettes, you know, put a big picture on the front of a credit card, and it's like, look at this person. He had to go into bankruptcy and he lost everything because he didn't pay back his credit card bill. Like, you can put as much red tape on it as you want. Okay? I don't care. But the idea that you have price controls and like, we're talking about private businesses here saying you can't charge that much. It's like, okay, then you guys go do it. That went well for you with student loans whenever you guys thought that this credit game is that easy. Go guarantee a bunch of credit card debts at 10%. You go figure it out. It's a hard game. There's a lot of competition. There's not one bank. It's not, you know, a one-of-one business that's setting the prices, and then everyone, like, go regulate NVIDIA's prices. They set the price for the entire game, you know? There's a lot of banks. 4,000 banks are trying to figure this out. No one is bringing these rates down to 10%. Why is that? When? You know? Okay. But for real, go ahead and put a sticker on. Credit cards have to say how much debt they have on each card. Sure. Does 10% cap mean more purchasing? No. No. Your credit caps would be like your credit limit would be shrunk down so much. They wouldn't offer you as much money because they can make more money elsewhere. They don't have to offer you credit. Like, this is like, imagine if the government said, oh, I can't think of an example for my industry really, but if they were like, yeah, you can't really talk about crypto, so we're going to limit the amount of like ad revenue or views that you can have on crypto videos. You know, I'd be like, okay, I'll talk about Meta and NVIDIA and stuff like this because that works. You know, these are big banks. And yes, they're greedy. So with that greed, they're going to stop offering the average consumer any form of credit. Permabull pie in the sky BS. What I'm saying? I definitely am a permabull. Like, I'll agree. I think life's getting better. I've never had like a moment in my investing career where I'm like, oh, you know what? This is terrible. Like, I need to drop everything. I've never had that feeling. And it's a young investing career. We've been doing this for 10 years. But things feel great. Denmark says agreed with US to form working group on Greenland. Bullish on life, baby. Permabulls make money. Bears sound smart. Bulls make money. Peak talk. I've been talking like this for years and years and years. I've only gotten richer. I literally got out of the shower yesterday and I was talking with my girlfriend and I was like, God, we're freaking fortunate. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I was like, I don't know how I could complain. The water's warm when I want it to be warm. My towel's nice and clean. It smells like flowers. I'm like, this life shit is nice. It doesn't even take me a lot to, like, I don't live in some luxurious house. It's like a regular suburban home. But I'd rather be here than in some cave having to try to start fire to make food. And I'm just fortunate that, you know, we get the advances of modern living. I'm sitting in front of computer screens talking to people all over the earth and making like genuine relationships with people who text me after the stream telling me about how their day is. It's insane how nice we have it these days. Permabull BS. You watch too much mainstream media getting you down. You and Amit don't ever talk about mitigating risk and worrying signs. What do you think of all my videos on if the 10% cap does go through? I had a bunch of people who blocked me and said I was a traitor because I was going to sell SoFi if it went down. I do care about risk. I don't see risk in names like SoFi. You know? How much do like, I'm all stock. I've got very little cash. How much risk mitigation do you want me to talk about? I don't believe it. Because you are an effing moron, Tanner. Okay. Yeah, you do well staying out of the markets and hold cash for the next 10 years waiting for the next recession, and then get in after the recession has happened and the market has collapsed, still lower than the price of where you could have been getting in today. People lose so much more money waiting on things to collapse than actually just buying in and then, you know, trying to bear through the storm. Whenever and if ever it actually comes. It will, but most times it's a lot less worse than what people actually believe it to be. I'm not just talking about Stuart here. I see a couple comments that are saying that I need to get very bearish on markets because they see that silver prices are going up. Why is everyone rage baiting you as soon as I get in the stream? Admit, this is the entire stream, bro. I'm just angry the whole time. But the funny thing is, I'm not actually angry. I'm having a fantastic time. I'm a very happy dude. I'm very bullish. I believe in a lot of great things. One of the first texts that I sent to Amit, I was like, Amit, this 10% credit card thing is going to F us up. And he was like, nah, I don't know about that. I was like, okay, we'll see. But it's of course it's leading to nothing. But I do worry about risk, of course. You've been screwed. Yeah. You know what's funny though? If I could probably tell you guys this. Let's I'll go to my Whoop. I'll tell you what my stress levels are right now. I bet they're lower than what you guys think they are. You know what? I'm lying. That's not true. I'm calculating my risk right now. .6 stress monitor low. Big chillin'. Big chillin' right now. Okay. What is silver at right now? 83.80. Gosh. We're hitting new highs as I'm talking. What do you use to monitor that? Whoop. This thing. This. Okay. ETH is back. Oh, are we testing? But is this a good sign? Are these bullish signs, or is ETH and silver and all of these things going up while equities are staying extremely red? I don't know. I'm not very well positioned for that. Maybe Stuart in chat's gonna, have the last laugh. As he says, Stuart films, idiots. Freaking idiots. All you guys holding equities and MAG7 names, believing in advertising and technology, you guys are freaking idiots. I'm just doing my best, man. I might be wrong. I'm just, I'm taking in the information. I'm doing my best, Stuart. But I don't get frustrated every time that, Elizabeth Warren is on screen telling me that the American public can't afford anything. It's like I'm looking at, shopping data. Like, people are spending. People are going out. I'm just doing my best. Any thoughts on Shop moving down a lot? Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty crazy name. This is my second biggest position in my portfolio, but this is I don't have a lot of stocks that I'm married to. I'm more married to Shopify than I am to Nvidia. I have such a close such a real belief in this management. I think Toby Luckey is one of the greatest founders of all time. I love the e-commerce and commerce space in general. I think regardless of artificial intelligence, regardless of robots, regardless of all these things, there's going to be more purchases happening than not. And there will be a take rate on payments, on subscription, and the flexibility that Shopify has during all of that will be extremely high. They've proven that they have not a moat, but so much pricing power to be able to take all their different tiers from, their smallest sort of shops that people are starting to set up and test with Shopify, all the way up to the $2,000+ a month subscriptions for, large enterprises, and now $2,500. And regardless of Kelly's now in chat saying, let's buy some more. Kelly, you stay out of this chat when I'm talking about Shopify. I was supposed to, Kelly's a very, not affluent. Well, I mean, she is affluent, but a very successful e-commerce store runner. I think she actually has a couple stores. They're all doing great money for her. And I said we should start a Shopify weekly. I'll do the financials. I'll talk about, some of that stuff. You talk about what it is to actually have the product and use it and talk about the advantages versus a Wix or a Squarespace or some of these other stores that would go down on a Black Friday. But, she ignored me. And that's that. It's all right. Glad you're watching. But with Shopify, there's so much pricing power that they've been able to increase their average prices on subscription, not just on their merchant solutions, but on their subscription solutions, about 33% on average pricing. And they just saw negligent, people churning off the platform because there's nowhere to run to. You have companies that have built out their own stacks. They have departments in their businesses to run their online stores and to create their own homegrown solution. And then they've gone, hey, you know what we should do? We should switch to Shopify because this is just really annoying. We're doing a lot of bug fixes and it's costing us way more than just to pay the high upfront fee of a service that's doing all of this for us and will answer and will continue to deliver 100+ new updates every 6 months or so. Gotta love that. Really great product. So the name can be down, but I don't know. If you have a company that you have a really low cost base on, and you're just such a believer in that product, and it doesn't waver at all because the stock goes down. The stock could be down 15% today. I, for real, will sleep. My Whoop will tell me I've gotten a 95% sleep score that night. Literally bought Shopify not even looking at the financials. Well, definitely look at the financials, but their financials are good. I would point you in the direction of free cash flow. So are you buying more Shopify? No. No, can't do that. I own too much of it. But yeah. Same thing with NVIDIA. This is what I was talking about earlier. I have such a belief in the upside of NVIDIA. My own personal belief, please do your own due diligence. But I also own, I just checked it today, 41.8% of my portfolio is in NVIDIA. Okay? Too much. I have a high belief that this company will go into the 220s and beyond and skyrocket in my portfolio faster than other names past 50% holdings. I will not hold more than 50% in an individual name. So I'm going to have to trim that name back, even though I believe in a very strong future. But there's just too much key man risk. Stuart's watching. What are you even talking about? What are you talking about, key man risk? You're talking about risks. But I was thinking about, some solutions of what I could do. Maybe I could rotate some of those earnings, as I trim past 50%, and put that into a Broadcom, a TSMC, an AMD even, where I still am believing and have a large stake in the infrastructure build out for artificial intelligence, but I don't have individual risks of, something going wrong and me not worried about my risk. But also not holding a semiconductor ETF. I don't want to do that either because then I'm getting shares in way too many businesses that I'm not focusing in on. I still know a decent amount about, Broadcom and AMD and TSM and stuff like this, and that would be much easier for me to follow. Don't sell your winners. It's not about selling my winners. It's like I just can't have too much in one company. So it's a difference between, cutting my flowers to water my weeds and then just realizing it's over 50% of my portfolio, like something has to be done. Like Warren Buffett didn't really let Apple get above 50% either. That's all I'm trying to do. So, yeah. Good question. Tanner, you own Grab? No, I don't own Grab. I don't know much about the geography or the space. My understanding is it's not selling off on really any of like bad news or bad financials or anything like this. Could be an opportunity, but if I wanted that space, I think I'd just be more comfortable in an Uber or something like that, even though it could have slower growth or better pricing. Thoughts on Zeta? I've gotten burnt on the trade desk. It's extremely hard to find visibility in those types of names. It's what made me miss out on Palantir as well. Even though Palantir was very good at bringing customers, like giving them a platform to say, here is how Palantir has shifted and changed our business. I really like those about the boot camps. Zeta probably needs to do a similar thing, because just saying that you're going to get X return on return on invested ad spend is exactly what the trade desk did. And, investors kind of got burnt on that because they didn't see Google and Amazon and some of these bigger players entering the space and replacing a lot of what the trade desk did to the open market, to the open internet. Super chats. Yeah, sorry. Thoughts on Amit's DCA $2K a month into VOO? Good idea. Bet on the American public. Don't be so concentrated. I'm a CPA enrolled agent, MBA, ex-military, and the Pittsburgh area, and a bit older. I've experienced much in this field and am not easily impressed. You're doing great work, Tanner. Much respect to you. Thank you, brother. Pittsburgh mogul. Thanks, man. To raise cash, would you suggest trimming winners like Goog, AMD, Nebius, CoreWeave, or cut losses like MicroStrategy, BM&R, Fig, Fiserv, roughly 40% down in all? Thanks. I don't know your portfolio. I would say historically, the right thing to do would be to cut your losses. I'm not making individual calls on those names, but that is the definition of cutting your flowers to water your weeds. The things that are working, I would just have to, like, I don't know. If you were to go out 5 years from now, 10 years from now, depending on your time horizon, which companies will be bigger and which ones will continue to face the problems that they've already been facing? Now, I don't know about MicroStrategy and BM&R. Those are a little different, but I wouldn't be afraid to cut losses and trim sometimes. People always do that. And the worst thing people do is whenever they lose a lot of money, they go, okay, it'll return here. Like it usually trades in this, $50 area. We're down to 30. So like, it's not too bad. And then it continues to drop. And then they get down to price targets that are like $15. And then they go, I'm already down from 50 down to 15. I don't even care about the $15 anymore. I'm going to let this thing double or just go to zero. That's another massive mistake I see people make, is like, okay, you picked a wrong name. You've held it for too long. That's perfectly fine. I've done that too. We've all done it. But don't just let it go to zero. If you have more conviction and a higher belief in Google, even though you think that the returns on Google might be, 15% a year or something like this, like even something nice and modest, but there's value there. There's a high cash stack. There's a defensible moat. Just trim the garbage and go buy what you actually believe in. You've already made the mistake. The mistake is over. Okay? But yeah. How much did you pay Pittsburgh Mogul to say that? $10. He just same $10 back. I actually had to give him 20 to give. Yeah. Okay. Would you trim a stock that has had a large gain, i.e. Hood, when it was at 140 to increase cash pile to buy on dips? No. So, whenever Robinhood was at 150, I was considering trimming because it did run up too fast, too quickly. But we're looking in so much hindsight here of like, yeah, well, I mean, it got to 150, but now it's much lower. But look at the run that Robinhood went on. It was so expensive at 20. People don't remember that. Like, this company had gone from $8 to $20 in very quick succession, and the earnings did not turn around very quickly. Okay. So that was expensive. Then at $30, it was very expensive. At 35, I had a bunch of comments because I was saying that I was buying, and people were like, you're crazy to buy Robinhood over SoFi here because it's at $35 and it had run a lot. And then at, 60, or at 50, at 60 was extremely expensive. Should you have trimmed there? It had actually dropped. It dropped during Liberation Day from 65 to 35. I can actually show you this here really quick. And we were to go back. So this is sort of like the 65 area. So as it was running up, we were in this like long period of time. I was not accumulating here. Okay. I started buying probably around here-ish. No, where was it? I thought it was, yeah. Well, the prices don't look right, but I thought it was January, somewhere like this in 2024. Now I don't remember. Anyway, my original price that I was buying into was about $16 right after earnings, and it was amazing earnings, but it collapsed a little bit. I think it probably could have been in here. It was probably in here. Because I remember there was like earnings skyrocketed and then it just crashed like similar day right after earnings. And then there were opportunities to get in. Yeah, this must have been August. Yeah. This is where I purchased then. Because I was buying here. This was the yen carry trade that brought Robinhood down. And then as it continued to climb up, everyone was like, this is accumulated way too much, way too quick. Then we had Liberation Day. That was a great time to purchase as well. And then every time on the way up seemed insanely overvalued. $50, $60, $80, $90. Like we were on live stream celebrating this passing $70, $80, $90, $100 was a party, dude. All the way up to $150. So it sure is a want to trim on the way up, but how the heck do you know? At what price are y'all entering SoFi on this dip? Well, I entered this morning with a average cost on this stock that's way lower. I think my average right now is like nearly $12 because I continue to add, but like I had to buy in the $4 ranges. But I also still believe in this company. I don't believe in it as much as I believed in it at 4. Like that was a screaming opportunity, but there's still an opportunity. I believe that it's going to outdo the general markets. That's my opinion. U.S. gets $500 million from first sale of Venezuelan oil. Okay. Bro, you literally called the top at 150. Well, okay, so it did seem like a lot very quickly. And then I was not excited because as it was going up to 150, crypto was not doing well. So I was surprised that like the monthly metrics that we were getting from Robinhood and the website traffic was not doing well. But then, the stock was continuing to be very hot. And I remember I had Amit on my show and I was like, bro, like, what are we doing? This is crazy. But still, I don't even regret not selling. Like, it could have easily have continued to run. And then I've done that a lot where you trim into something because it's run and then it just continues to run. I just have essentially made it a promise to myself. I would not do that. I'm not missing companies that I've done all the research on and know full well that they're going to do well. There's going to come a day where Robinhood, that's like where 150 is no longer called the top. And that's why I'm holding. Tanner, what is your intuition and knowledge led you to believe in the nature of dark matter and dark energy? So anyway, Robinhood, I'm just going to hold for whenever we have an even higher high. And they're entering into international markets. Prediction markets has a long way to go. Money markets are like we're sorry, not money markets, but more on the banking and payment space, credit card space. They have a lot to go there. So, okay. What do you think of eToro after your interview yesterday? Have you been looking into more? So I talked about this a little bit earlier on. I've been the last couple of days just looking into eToro as much as possible. I'm going to try to get a video out here in the next week or so. I've not made a purchase on eToro, so I still do not hold it. But the daily live streams that we're doing before this have just been purely focused on eToro lately. So I've got my charts built out. I'm, running through the company. We're watching founder interviews. I'm looking at the fees and who their competitors are in the UK. I'm just doing everything I can right now to understand eToro. But the general sense is that they're not growing as fast as Robinhood, but they are taking market share. They are growing, and they're like 1/50th the cost. So pretty good. Like 40% of the company's value is just based in cash with no debt. It's like, it might be an insane opportunity. Okay. If SoFi goes back to $22, I would gladly buy. Yeah. Did you say you bought Meta? Do you think it's bottomed? No, I don't think it's bottomed. I don't think I'll be able to time the bottom. And I like the price here today. So if I get it, it's not like I just took every last dollar I had and sold positions. I did trim a position today, but I'll give you guys a hint. Okay. That was my hint for you guys. But I ended up buying some Meta. I've got a lot more room in the portfolio to continue to buy Meta if it continues to fall. He trimmed hood. No, you had to watch the screen to see. Is mathematics invented or discovered? Swapping Google for Meta, probably not a bad idea at these prices. That's interesting. I'm not one for really doing that, but I could definitely see the, the want to do that. There's other companies I'd rather swap for Meta. And I want to hold a lot of the MAG7 names. They feel so good holding. You guys have no idea. I think every time I buy it, my stress score goes down. Tanner, I know you don't do a ton of TA, but are interested. Adding some moving average on your chart for the streams might be beneficial for you and viewers. Yeah. Are you adding BM&R? No. Not adding BM&R, not selling BM&R. I'm a holder. Okay, let's go ahead and watch a couple CNBC clips because there's a few things that I wanted to touch on. Like, for example, the software incumbents that are getting beat down, the Intuits, the Adobe's of the world. Is this AI just reshaping those companies' entire futures? By the way, eToro, another company, you guys wouldn't believe. That company was holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. What do you think their entry price was? Let's see a couple guesses before we get into the incumbent stuff. They were holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. $1,000. That seems a little low. 20K, 18K, $1. All right. 1K. It was $5. It was $5. And in fact, Vitalik Buterin had come to eToro's office to talk with Yoni about Bitcoin back whenever he was writing whenever he was doing blogs and stuff for Bitcoin Magazine, before he had even created Ethereum. They are crypto maxis. They love crypto. Yeah, the $1 thing actually surprisingly was the closest. They also are extremely AI focused. They think that that's going to be a big part of retail trading going forward. Another cool thing just to think about is the greatest wealth transfer of all time. A lot of these things are just like they're going to benefit from massive tailwinds over time. Okay. What's the percent gain on that? They had to sell it. They didn't make all of that. The board of directors agreed to sell it during like one of the moments, but they did make a fortune on it. Is mining Bitcoin still a thing? Yeah. Okay. Let's get into this software incumbent thing. See if AI is just eating up this entire space. And by the way, if AI is replacing all incumbents, and we don't need all of these small names, and what we actually need is a few large LLM players, the ChatGPTs and the Geminis and the Groks and which there's a big belief that might actually be happening right now. Do you guys think we're going to need more chips or less? I'll let you guys stew on that while I bathe in my NVIDIA shares. But let's go ahead and have a listen to this video.
Stocks are leading to the downside today with software under pressure as concerns grow that AI is displacing a number of those names. Our Seema Modi has much more on this. Seema.
Well, Frank, in the last 48 hours, there's been two major announcements that have really rocked software stocks. First, Anthropic's Cloud unveiling an AI agent that can basically automate basic tasks, similar to what Salesforce's agents are trying to accomplish. And then yesterday, Apple launching a studio of design apps that are a lot cheaper than Adobe's existing line of products. These two announcements, Frank, are amplifying concerns around competition that have already pressured shares of Adobe, which have fallen about 26% in the last year. And then there's Salesforce, now down 10% in 2026, on track for its worst start to the year since 2022. Other names that are seen as vulnerable to AI when we have conversations with analysts: Asana, HubSpot, Elastic, which focuses on robotic automation. And as more tech heavyweights launch these AI agents, the call center names like Five9 and NICE have been front and center. A couple of catalysts now to watch. In addition to earnings, well, CEOs will have to defend their products and show that AI is not displacing their business. Further signs of M&A in consolidation following a string of acquisitions by Palo Alto Networks and IBM. That's something to continue to look for. And OpenAI's next fundraising round. Analysts say if it's bigger than expected, that would suggest it's got the capital to continue to work on apps and products that take aim at the business customer, which is so crucial to software's bottom line, Frank.
Our Seema Modi live at CNBC headquarters. Seema, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think a lot of the incumbent names will still be around. I don't think AI is just going to eat the whole world. I think a lot of those names are going to integrate with artificial intelligence. But yeah, massive Verizon outage currently. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. I don't know. I wish I could have like an outgoing message. That would be cool, but I'm not smart enough to be a quotable person. So, in the great words of, I don't know. I wish I was cool. I'm going to go watch a movie with my dad and spend some time with him. You guys ever have like you guys are all, relatively hardworking individuals that make too much money and have discretionary income, and that's why you're watching a video on stocks during the middle of the day. Do you guys ever feel like that? What's the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the, you know that song? Well, the main point about that song is that, some dad was working extremely hard. My dad worked hard, bro. There were, but anyway, I think he raised, 3 boys, me and my 2 brothers, and all of us. My dad was you guys call it W-2, but a T4 employee. He was an employee to a large business, and he made a phenomenal income because he was a C-suite executive. But he hated the fact that he was on a W-2 because it changed the way that he could, earn and write off those taxes and everything. But what was I going to say? So he essentially dispelled into all of us that a W-2 or a T4 is the kiss of death. That was his old saying. And so both my brothers and myself have always been self-employed. It's what we've always done and tried to make our way. And luckily, we've all done decently well for ourselves. But he was a very hardworking man and then dispelled across his 3 boys to work very hard. But now my dad's unemployed. Sorry, not unemployed, but he's retired is another way to put it. And I feel like I don't have a lot of time for him because I'm working because that's exactly what he told me to do. Hitting a little deep now, but do you guys ever think about that? Like, that's I forget what the freaking song is called. Cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. Anyway, essentially is growing up to be like, hey, your dad's working hard to give you everything to, be the person you are. And then that father then grows up to not be able to spend time with his kid because his kid did exactly what he did, which was to just work very hard. Tanner, just end the stream. You can leave whenever you want, brother. Cats in the Cradle, that's the song. Stop embarrassing yourself. I'm talking about my dad, bro. For real, this is the opposite of what I think embarrassing myself is. I'm just talking about, what's in my head. Spending time with my father as he gets older. Very difficult to have work-life balance. Yeah. I always feel that way, always looking for more time with my kids. Dude, I don't even have kids, and I think about often about like how I'm gonna spend time with them. I had this crazy dream last night that like I had 2 kids. I had this little blonde boy. It felt so real. And then I woke up and I was like, I don't have kids. I miss my kids. Yeah, did you imagine that's my dad commenting? Stop embarrassing yourself. No, my dad's sick. But I don't want to, to not, yeah. My father passed away 2 weeks ago. That's terrible. Tanner's building credit by spending time with imaginary kids so he could spend less time with his real ones. No, I do want to give, yeah, I don't know. How old's my father? My father is 64. Yeah. Why is tech and financials down? That's awesome. What stock under 50 euros? Is that a euro or a pound? I always mess that up. To hold long term. I would never look at a stock based on the price of the stock. If you like a stock that is a $2,000 stock like Mercado Libre, buy a fractional share of that stock. So favorite stock under 50, I'm not sure. Let's say SoFi. I just bought them today. I also bought Meta, but they're not under 50. Are you the youngest? Yes, I'm the youngest. Binance founder CZ says Bitcoin is obviously going to 200,000. Well, I think it's obvious too. It's just a matter of what time frame. Tanner, get off the stream and go spend time with your dad. Well, I got to meet him in 50 minutes. All right. You're right, though. I'll get off. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.